In the year 2000, my father was killed in a farming accident. And in the days that followed, the outpouring of support and love and help was overwhelming. The neighbors got together, took the rest of the field off for us. We had food for days. There was hundreds of people that came to his funeral, and there was just such a sense of support and community coming together to help us get through this terrible time. And let's fast forward to today. My mother has been dealing with Alzheimer's for the last 10 years. Being a caregiver for someone with dementia, in my case, Alzheimer's, can be incredibly difficult, and it can bring forth a lot of emotions. With Alzheimer's, you don't have the opportunity to come together as one and say goodbye and support one another within a certain time frame. This is a pain and a letting go that goes on for a long, extended period of time. What I want you to know is that there is going to be some big emotions that you're going to feel as you go through this journey, and that's okay. It makes you human. So for example, let's start with anger. Anger is such a common emotion, especially if you are the primary caregiver. You might be angry that, why did this happen to your loved one? Why are you the primary caregiver? For example, I'm the only one in the same province as my mom. So of course, 90% of her care is my responsibility. And so in some days I feel blessed to do that. And some days I feel a little resentful. That just makes me human. And then as time goes on and you see your loved one going through these stages and they can't remember certain things, and you end up having to repeat yourself 40 different times to give them the same instructions, you get frustrated and that anger shows up again. It's all out of frustration, but you have to give yourself some grace. Everybody who works with people with Alzheimer's become frustrated. Another example of anger and frustration can occur when the loved one that you're looking after shows you one side of themselves and the other people a different side of themselves. And so it ends up looking like you are exaggerating things. So for example, I took my mom to go see some family members a while back, and she was telling them all about how she was still knitting and all the different things that she was doing throughout the day while she was living in a care facility. And I knew that none of that was true. But I'm not going to correct her in front of everybody. Why would I? What's the point? But what happens then is she went off to her room. And well, we were sharing a room because she wasn't able to be by herself. But when she left, then the other people are saying, oh, wow, she looks like she's doing really well, not understanding that everything that she had just finished telling them was fabricated, and because she kind of lived in a different reality. And so then I followed her quickly after that to make sure she was okay. And when I found her in the room bawling because she saw my suitcase and she thought that I was leaving her. That I was packing up everything and I was ditching her. And then she became very angry and physically attacked me. And, these are the kinds of roller coasters that we go through when we have someone with Alzheimer's. And she's not aware of how she's coming across. She's just, very much in the moment of her fear at the time. And so I calm her down, assure her that, I'm not going anywhere without her. We're just there to visit. And then she goes off to go visit with the family members, and she's fine. And that whole incident is gone. It's, never happened in her brain. But I'm still in that world of being shaken up. And then I have to face everyone in the family at that point after that altercation just took place and listen to them talk about how great she's doing and how happy she seems. And I'm not going to tell them in front of my mom right there that she just attacked me. So you're living in that kind of situation as well. And it's very, very frustrating. Another emotion that is very dominant when you're the caregiver of a person that you love with Alzheimer's is guilt. Am I doing enough? To give you an example, my mom just lost her dentures, her teeth, her upper palate. And so now I'm trying to figure out what can I do for her that makes me the least crappy daughter. So on one hand, do I make her go through the 5 appointments that it's going to take in order to put all that goo in her mouth, and she's not going to understand what's happening to her, and she's going to be confused and frustrated? Do I do that to her in order to make sure that she gets her teeth? Or do I let her be comfortable without her teeth and just change the diet so that she's not going to choke on any food, and it's her 90th birthday right away, and she won't have her upper teeth to have that big brilliant smile she normally has? So no matter what I do for her, I feel like I'm letting her down in some way. We feel guilty if they can't live with us for the rest of their lives, especially when they get to a certain stage where they are a danger to themselves or others, and you need to have other people involved in order to help out with the care of your loved one. But when that day comes and we need to take them to a facility in which they can get that around-the-clock care, even nursing care, the guilt is overwhelming. Deep down, we know it's the right thing to do, but we want to be there. We want to be the end all and everything for our parent because, they raised us. Now it's our time to look after them. But you're only human. And especially if you are looking after your other kids and you have a job, and there's just no way that your loved one can be at home by themselves for any period of time without turning the stove on or falling or hurting themselves in some way. So that guilt is incredibly difficult to work through. And the other emotion is grief. You are grieving the loss of that person, the person that used to be. It's like their body is there, but they're not who they used to be anymore. I just had a situation with my mom just a week ago where I went to go see her, and I helped her up from the table. They were having dinner, and I helped her up, and I walked her to her room, and there was no light of recognition in her eyes when she looked at me. She didn't even acknowledge that I was someone that she would know or not. I was just a person that was there. And every single time there's another progression in their illness, it's like another level of loss. And we grieve them over and over again. And the roles reverse in a way that you are now the parent instead of the child. It can be frustrating, overwhelming. You might even feel some resentment. Know that you are not alone. A lot of people feel that way. Most of us feel that way at certain times throughout this journey. So what I would really like to pass on to you is these emotions are normal. And I know you're going to beat yourself up and think you should be a better son, a better daughter. But honestly, especially when this goes on for years, like in my case, it's been over 10 years, it can be exhausting. You learn along the way, but during that time, you have to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself some time out. There have been times when what mom has done or said has frustrated me so much that I just need to say, you know what? I'm just going to go for a little walk. And I just go around, walk around outside, get some sun on my face, deep breaths, realize, remind myself, mom is not doing this because she's trying to make my life difficult. She's not doing it on purpose. This is the disease talking, not her. And that helps bring me back to reality, helps center me again so I can go back in there and be the caregiver that I need to be. My other suggestion is get support. You cannot do this on your own. Even though my brother lives in a different province altogether, I cherish the conversations that we have, especially if I've had a tough situation with Mom where I've seen her deteriorate just a little bit more. And so as I'm driving home, I'll get him on the phone and I'll share my grief with him. And that has been a godsend to have that person to talk to. So if it's not a family member, maybe it could be a friend. Another huge source of support has been my uncle, who has helped take my mom to different appointments, and he has been the person who has supplied us with supplements. When my mom was first diagnosed with Alzheimer's, my uncle, her brother, was adamant about getting her on supplements such as vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin K, omegas 3 and 6, and some turmeric. And I don't know if this concoction has helped or not. What I do know is that her decline has been quite a bit slower than the average bear, so perhaps the supplements helped. So I'd like to close this video with a poem that I came across the other day that really encompasses everything I've been talking about here in terms of how we lose them step by step. I hope it resonates with you as much as it resonated with me. Know that you're not alone. Know that you are only human when you're feeling those big emotions like anger and grief and guilt. They are very much emotions that just come with the territory, and it means you care. I hope you enjoy the poem, and I hope this video has helped just a little bit. It's a long goodbye. She is leaving me little by little. I wish she wouldn't go. I will be there as long as she needs me. How do I let her know? I'd like to hold on to the memories. I'd also like to share. But she is further away, getting further away, and yet she's always there. It's a long goodbye, and yet I believe that she can sense us. So much time between now and then when it's time against us. There are times she almost seems like herself. Sometimes it's just like a phase, a part of the person I once knew, and sometimes just a trace. It's a long goodbye, and still I don't know just what to say. There's so much time between now and then because she goes away. A long goodbye. Tell me, how do all the others do it? There's so much time between now and then. How do we get through it? It's a long goodbye.